Imagine this. After years or even decades of pouring your entire being into the promise of the next transformative breakthrough in biotechnology, you wake up one morning to devastating news. The company you've helped build, the team you've nurtured, and the mission you've believed in so deeply, all suddenly thrown into turmoil by forces seemingly beyond your control. This is not just a rare, unlucky misfortune. It's the new reality for countless professionals, scientists, and entrepreneurs across the global biotech sector. The biotech industry, once the crown jewel of innovation and economic hope, now finds itself in the crosshairs of sweeping layoffs, evaporating capital, and a level of uncertainty that many insiders admit they have never experienced before. How did we reach this precipice? Is this a temporary correction, or the beginning of a painful new era for biotechnology? And more crucially, does this sector have the resilience, agility, and vision to adapt, recover, and spark the next wave of scientific progress? To understand where we are, let's rewind the clock. Over the past decade, biotechnology has evolved from a specialized scientific niche into a towering engine of growth, both scientifically and economically. Cities such as Boston and San Francisco, once known for their historic landmarks and tech booms, became synonymous with biotech's meteoric ascent. Their office parks and research corridors pulsed day and night with creative energy, fueled by waves of new talent, audacious startups, and a surge in investment from venture capitalists eager to back the next blockbuster. The promise was vast: new therapies for cancer, cures for rare diseases, and life-extending medical technologies that once seemed like science fiction. Some startups, with nothing but promising data and a dream, achieved valuations in the billions before shipping their first product. Then came the COVID pandemic, a once-in-a-century event that thrust biotechnology into the global spotlight. Suddenly, the world's hopes rested on the shoulders of scientists, clinicians, and engineers racing to develop vaccines and treatments at record speed. Governments responded by unleashing unprecedented funding, while retail investors, inspired by tales of overnight success, flooded into biotech stocks. The sector soared to new heights, with record-breaking IPOs and a surge in public enthusiasm. For a while, it felt like nothing could slow the momentum of biotech. But history has a habit of turning booms into busts. As we move through the early months of the year 2025, the mood in biotech has shifted dramatically. Instead of triumphant announcements of life-saving discoveries and eye-popping valuations, the headlines now tell a sobering story: mass layoffs, shuttered laboratories, and a wave of companies struggling for survival. Just this week, the CEO of Recursion, a company once heralded as a leader in AI-driven drug discovery, had to make the excruciating decision to part ways with 1/5 of the staff. The pain does not end there. ADC Therapeutics, a firm celebrated for its work in antibody-drug conjugates, reduced its workforce by almost 1/3 in a single move. Vertex, another industry stalwart, recently laid off 125 team members. And these are merely the cases that make headlines. Beneath the surface, countless startups and established firms across North America and Europe are quietly making similar, agonizing choices. In some cases, entire research pipelines are being cut. In others, promising new projects are shelved indefinitely, as companies scramble to conserve cash and weather the storm. Let's put these grim statistics in perspective. In Europe, biotech financing has plummeted by approximately 64% compared to the previous year, a dramatic and alarming contraction that has left even established companies teetering on the edge. In the San Francisco Bay Area, which for decades has been the heart of American biotech innovation, nearly 1/4 of all laboratory space now sits vacant. Buildings that once buzzed with activity, where researchers toiled late into the night, now echo with silence, a testament to dreams deferred or abandoned. So what is fueling this sector-wide retreat? The answer is a tangled web of economic, political, and technological factors, each amplifying the other in a kind of perfect storm. The first major shock came from the broader macroeconomic environment. As inflation soared, central banks around the world responded by raising interest rates, making money more expensive to borrow and invest. Investors, who once chased high-risk, high-reward biotech opportunities with abandon, suddenly grew cautious. The era of cheap, abundant capital ended almost overnight, cutting off the vital lifeblood for many early-stage biotech ventures. Michelle Hoffman, executive director at the Chicago Biomedical Consortium, summarizes the mood succinctly. You can feel the anxiety in every conversation. Everyone is scrutinizing budgets and nobody knows who's going to be next on the chopping block. This pervasive sense of fear is echoed in boardrooms and laboratories alike, as leaders weigh which projects to fund, which to delay, and which to abandon entirely. But economic forces are only part of the story. Political turbulence has played a significant and underappreciated role in biotech's troubles. Analysts at Jefferies highlight the policy shifts and regulatory rollbacks that occurred during the Trump administration as key contributors to today's malaise. Uncertainty around drug approval processes, immigration policy, and government research funding has left investors wary, making long-term planning a near-impossible task. Federal grants, once a reliable source of seed capital for the most innovative startups, have dwindled, just as private markets have become more selective and risk-averse. The consequences are visible everywhere. Boston, a city that has long prided itself as the world capital of biotech, is feeling the pinch. Even its most prestigious academic hospitals and research centers are not immune. Scott Kersner, a veteran industry observer, warns, without steady, predictable funding, even the best labs can't sustain their momentum. The ecosystem is more fragile than people realize. Institutions that once weathered economic ups and downs with resilience now face tough choices about which programs to save and which to let go. Despite the doom and gloom, there are still rays of hope, though they come with caveats. Fitch Ratings, a respected authority in the financial world, maintains a neutral outlook for biotech. This suggests that, while current turbulence is real, the sector's underlying promise remains. And here's a surprising twist. Even as pink slips are handed out and companies tighten their belts, biopharma research and development spending is actually projected to rise by more than 1/10 this year. That means that, beneath the surface, new avenues for innovation are still being explored. The story is not one of total collapse, but rather of painful transformation. So, what happens next? Is biotech facing a temporary correction, or something much deeper and more existential? The answer may depend on whom you ask and where you look within this complex global industry. Let's examine a few key scenarios that experts are watching with great interest. The first is the prospect of consolidation on a massive scale. When economic conditions tighten, it is often the biggest players who survive by buying up smaller, struggling competitors. Evaluate, a firm that tracks trends in the life sciences industry, predicts that a looming patent cliff, the impending expiration of key drug patents, will spark a wave of mergers and acquisitions. Large pharmaceutical giants, flush with reserves of cash but facing a dearth of new products in their pipelines, may swoop in to acquire distressed startups at bargain prices. This could reshape the competitive landscape, reducing the number of independent companies but creating new titans with the resources to weather future storms. This is not mere speculation. The pharmaceutical industry has a long history of using consolidation as a strategy during tough times. In the wake of the global financial crisis of 2008, for instance, a wave of mergers created some of today's most powerful life sciences conglomerates. While this can lead to greater efficiency and scale, it also raises concerns about reduced competition, fewer disruptive startups, and a potential slowdown in innovation if risk aversion becomes the norm. But consolidation is far from the only force at work. The rapid integration of artificial intelligence and machine learning into the drug discovery process is perhaps the most transformative development in biotech today. For decades, developing a new drug was a slow, expensive, and highly uncertain endeavor. It often took more than a decade and cost billions of dollars to bring a single new therapy to market. Now, companies that can harness the power of AI to identify promising compounds, predict patient outcomes, and automate key stages of research may be able to cut years off development timelines and save vast sums, sometimes billions of dollars. Take Recursion as a vivid example. Even as it faces painful layoffs, the company is doubling down on its commitment to AI-driven discovery. By automating the laborious process of screening drug candidates and analyzing biological data, Recursion hopes to do more with less, turning adversity into opportunity. They are not alone. Around the world, from Silicon Valley to London, from Shanghai to Tel Aviv, startups and established players alike are racing to build the next generation of AI-powered biotech platforms. The winners in this race may set the industry standard for decades to come. This technological revolution is not limited to drug discovery. AI and data science are transforming every stage of the biomedical pipeline, from identifying new disease targets, to designing clinical trials, to personalizing therapies for individual patients. For example, Companies like In Silico Medicine and Benevolent AI have built platforms that analyze vast troves of scientific literature and patient data to uncover hidden patterns, accelerating the path from hypothesis to therapy. Meanwhile, advances in digital health, wearable technologies, and telemedicine are creating new avenues for biotech to reach and monitor patients, fundamentally reshaping how care is delivered and evaluated. Yet, the risks are formidable. With 1/4 of laboratory space unused in the Bay Area and European financing having plummeted by nearly 2/3, there is a growing danger that entire regional biotech hubs could wither if the funding drought persists. The loss of critical mass, talent, infrastructure, and collaborative networks could set back innovation by years or even decades. Moreover, as the United States and Europe struggle with internal challenges, competition from China and other emerging markets is heating up rapidly. Chinese biotech companies, often supported by strong government funding and a vast domestic market, are making impressive strides in fields such as gene editing, cell therapy, and synthetic biology. In a few key areas, they are not just catching up, they are setting new global standards. For instance, Chinese researchers have made headlines for breakthroughs in CRISPR-based therapies and rapid vaccine development, often moving from concept to clinic at a pace that rivals or surpasses their Western counterparts. This intensifying global competition is forcing American and European firms to rethink everything from their business models to intellectual property strategies, talent acquisition, and regulatory compliance. Michelle Hoffman cautions that budget tightening and pervasive fear have become our new normal. Tom Hughes, the CEO of Navitor Pharmaceuticals, adds, "In my entire career, I have never seen so many layoffs, closures, and restructurings in such a short period. For employees, the message is clear. Job security can no longer be taken for granted. For investors, the new environment demands a level of due diligence and risk tolerance unmatched in recent memory." So, what practical advice can we offer to those navigating these choppy waters? For investors considering a stake in biotech, it is more important than ever to look beyond the headlines and dig into the fundamentals. Seek out companies that demonstrate real adaptability, those leveraging AI, forging strategic alliances, and maintaining diverse funding sources. Pay close attention to management teams with a proven track record of weathering downturns. Historically, the greatest winners in biotech have emerged from periods of turmoil, not from the darlings of the last boom, but from those who innovated under pressure. For professionals working in the sector, or those contemplating a career change into biotech, the current climate demands flexibility and a commitment to lifelong learning. The companies most likely to survive and thrive will be those that can bridge the worlds of biology and data science, that are comfortable working across disciplines, and that can operate effectively in uncertain, rapidly changing environments. Building expertise in artificial intelligence, regulatory affairs, and cross-border collaboration will be invaluable as the sector globalizes and as technological change accelerates. For everyday consumers, the stakes are high and deeply personal. The medications, diagnostics, and therapies of the next decade will be shaped by decisions being made right now. If policymakers choose to streamline drug approvals, increase public investment, and nurture vibrant local biotech ecosystems, innovation will flourish. But if fear, short-term thinking, and political infighting prevail, progress could stall, leaving patients and families waiting longer for breakthroughs that could change or even save lives. As citizens, we all have a role to play, supporting science-driven policies, advocating for robust research funding, and encouraging collaboration between academia, government, and industry. Let's not overlook the lessons of history. Biotech has always been defined by its resilience. The dot-com crash of the early 2000s sent shockwaves through the life sciences, erasing fortunes and shuttering companies, but it also cleared the way for a new generation of innovators. The financial crisis of 2008 dried up venture capital, yet the sector rebounded with the rise of immunotherapy, gene sequencing, and personalized medicine. Each time, those who adapted, who seized new technologies, forged unconventional partnerships, and kept their eyes on the long game, emerged stronger. Today we stand at a similar crossroads. The pain is real, and the risks are significant, but the potential rewards, for patients, investors, and society, are immense. The real question is not whether biotech will survive, but who will lead the next great wave of innovation? Which companies will emerge as the architects of tomorrow's breakthroughs? Which regions will become the new epicenters of discovery? Here's a secret that even many seasoned industry insiders overlook. While the headlines scream about layoffs and closures, biopharma R&D spending is forecasted to increase by more than 1/10 in the coming year. This suggests that, beneath the surface turmoil, scientists are quietly advancing new projects in cell and gene therapy, digital health, and precision diagnostics. Startups are pivoting toward emerging markets, experimenting with creative funding models, and forming cross-border collaborations to survive and thrive. In short, while some doors are closing, others are opening in places and ways that few could have predicted. As we look ahead, it is clear that the biotech industry is being tested as never before. The coming years will demand tough decisions, smart investments, and relentless curiosity. For those willing to adapt, the next decade could deliver breakthroughs that change the world. For those who cling to outdated assumptions, the risks may prove insurmountable. So, what about you? Whether you are an investor, a scientist, a policymaker, or simply someone who cares about the future of medicine, now is the time to stay engaged. Keep asking questions, push for progress, support the ecosystems that make innovation possible. Remember, history is not made by those who avoid risk, but by those who see opportunity in the midst of uncertainty. If you found this deep dive insightful, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think? Will the next biotech revolution come from a giant corporation or a nimble newcomer? How will artificial intelligence, global competition, and innovative funding models reshape this vital sector? Stay curious, stay informed, and join us next time as we decode the forces shaping our global future. Your insights and your questions